Nice computer. Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning,
Morning.
afternoon at this point.
Yes, sir. Uh, so let's get after it. Today we're gonna do like a listen through of our most recent EP, Fantastic Invasion. We kind of want to go song by song and spend a couple minutes talking about the backstory of the song, some any any fun facts or anything that we feel is relevant or cool in the production process of that song. All of the above. We're gonna go into depth. We're gonna tear these songs apart, and we just want to share it with you guys, and hopefully you guys find it interesting because we really love doing all this stuff and creating these songs, and so much of it goes unseen just by listening to it. And then after each discussion of each song, we're going to listen through that specific song and kind of stop and go, point out some cool moments or some of our favorite stuff in that song, and you're gonna get to see us kind of geek out a little bit because we love our music. We think it's dope. We think it's a lot of fun to listen to, and hopefully you agree if you're watching this. Up first, we got Ember. Ember is written by Mr. Rona. Would you like to share a little bit of backstory on that?
Yeah, sure. Man, do you guys remember trying to put this together?
Yeah, remember the
Do
first
I?
the first on this one was like pretty brutal.
It was brutal. We didn't even have keys and sax at that point. It was just the four. It was the three of us and a drummer. It was like, I don't know if this is gonna work out or not. It was a little worrisome. But anyway, this song. I guess I could talk about the lyrics a little bit. This song I wrote my freshman year of college. I was uh, not enjoying my time on dating apps very much. Uh, so Ember is kind of a euphemism for Tinder, but it's kind of, I don't know. I kind of view Ember as the opposite of like a spark. Like a spark is something that happens very quickly and it's like a bright burst of energy or heat or whatever. And an ember is kind of something that is remaining after the fire is out, and kind of burning for a while, um, without really much life to it. And that's kind of how I felt about going through like this game of that. So there's a lot of I guess metaphors for all of that stuff throughout the song.
Yeah,
Um,
lyrics like each stanza in all the verses is kind of saying something about. I guess it's a game, and we all play it at some point. Um,
I think I could pull up. I think I have like the lyrics I could look at real quick.
with all of those euphemisms. Um, yeah, and producing this song was a lot of fun. This song is actually a live studio mix, so we kind of recorded it all in a couple takes, and you can watch the YouTube video of us doing it in the studio. Recorded the Cody Slade did video, Shane Patterson did the live mixing, and it was such a fun experience to have us all be in Subcat at the same time making that music together. And God, like just a surreal feeling when you get to the climax of this song. When we were in the studio recording it, like each take we did, just it got better and better, and um, it's a pretty live mix when you listen to it. We went back and overdubbed a couple of things with the vocals and some other stuff, but otherwise, like it was very live and in the moment for us to uh, to do in the studio. It was something we'd never done before, including the video as well. Like that was new to us, but it was a blast. Um, get those lyrics, Dan?
yeah, I think one of my favorite I guess little stanza was I know their faces and that's about it, but they expect me to have the judgment to make a casting call. Um, so you kind of get the idea, I guess. And the end of the song, uh, I think is kind of cool because there's three chords that repeat, but the vocal line is four is like four lines. So the start of the vocal line um, isn't in the same place in the song, because it's basically like four against three, if that makes any sense.
Yeah,
So like basically the chord progression repeats every 3 bars, but the vocal line repeats every 4 bars, and then we kind of go into the last chorus as the first vocal line and the first chord line up, or I should say the last chord and the last vocal line up.
and it creates a really cool sense of like musical tension because of like how the harmonies line up. Each time it gets a little like crunchier or like something different happens because of how the vocal line is a little offset from what's happening harmonically in the instruments. And when you're listening to the song and you get to the bridge, I guess, which is like the climax of the song, you can hear that. What are the lyrics there? Is this moving too fast for you? It's moving too fast for me. You're not even half the person I thought you to be. Um, Deep stuff. That was God. Yeah, I think we were all feeling this sentiment last year when we were recording this. Uh, we were all in that dating game to a certain extent, or recently were, and we are all going a little, I guess, stir crazy from it. Um, so let's give it a listen. Um, let's get into it. We're gonna kind of stop and go here. Um, if you guys want to signal me, I guess somehow you could raise your hand in the Zoom call or just type something in chat, and I'll pause it.
Sounds good.
Make sure I'm sharing. There we go.
I wonder what I did to drive you away. There's nothing.
Colin, my God, what a dude. So that's Colin on keys right there. You can kind of hear him playing around. We gave him these chords for the intro, and he took them and ran, and he did exactly what we wanted to.
I was just recalling how much effort we had to put in to having you two line up because the vocals and the bass are in unison there. And there's absolutely no time. It's not written out. It's just like, yeah, just play the melody together.
Yeah, that's why the first rehearsal was sucked. It's because it was Riley trying to figure it out by ear, like from Dan, and like Dan standing there like playing the melody on guitar, and Riley like looking at his fingers, like, okay, all right, we do this. And then Riley and I just standing across the room from each other, making intense eye contact, and him like staring at my lips to make sure he plays because so the bass and the vocals are in unison there, which is cool. It's fun. God, that first rehearsal was brutal because I just remember like spending so long just Riley and I just right on each other.
Yeah, those the takes that you hear in the final recording of that song are actually the bass take was one and the vocal take was a different one. So that was actually Nate trying to line up with my bass because the bass had already been recorded, and so he was trying to sing those vocals over it again. And
Yeah,
then
it was really hard to get lined up for whatever reason, because it just wasn't in time. Like this beginning section's not really in
yeah, there's no
time.
time.
Um, I think at a later date, since in my opinion, this is probably one of the best like quality written songs we've ever produced, and on this album as well, like it's so well written, and I think we should probably do some sort of like radio edit of this song where we actually do like an overproduced version that's like not a live version, maybe like cut out this intro so it's a little more of a condensed shorter song that
Mm,
has a traditional song like style, because after this it kind of it's much more, I guess, typical of like a song form, but the intro's cool. It was a fun way
yeah.
to open up the EP as well. Let's get back into it.
Visible to me. It's always been your way. Every attempt I make to talk to you seems to disappear. Nonetheless, you do is wrong. All that I'm told is to be strong. They just say you'll get through it. You're not alone.
This pre-chorus comes back a couple times throughout the song. It's one of my darker moments as a musician and a singer. God, something about like the chords are like all over the place. They're cool and they work very well, but there's not really any like clear voice leading to kind of go with. They kind of jump around a lot. It took me a hot minute to figure out exactly what notes I was supposed to be singing in these chords that were kind of like it felt like I was playing whack-a-mole or something. They were all over the place.
That's how Dan likes to write his songs, all over the place.
Hey, but you figured it out. It sounds really good.
Yeah.
It does, yeah. No.
But they're telling me things I already know.
It's all improv right there.
Straight lines.
Yeah.
Thanks, Colin.
Yeah. When you're a G, dude. The first time we heard that take and like that came ripping out, we all lost our minds. Even Dan's dad, Greg, was like, "Oh, get out!" Like, oh, it was crazy. And Colin's Colin, like he stood there and was like, "Yeah, thanks, guys." Like,
He's like, yeah, it's all right.
like all these licks that you hear Colin doing, like he's playing around with some like secondary dominance chords or like tertiary third, like away. He's just making it up on the spot. He's crazy talented. And same goes for Luke. All the licks that Luke is doing on sax, like he was pretty much improvising. Like, yeah, we've rehearsed with them quite a bit. We've performed with them a couple times on this song, and they just came into the studio and they brought it. It was incredible. But right there, that piano lick at the beginning is god tier. It's every time it comes on, I'm like, "Ooh,
Yeah.
God, get out of here!"
That's tasty.
About to hear a sax lick too from Luke Hart. So those little licks, he plays them every once in a while in there. Those are one of my favorite parts of the song.
Yeah.
Those were all improv as well.
It's hard to live small, being a perpetual new, swaying with everything to lose and nothing to gain. The never-ending desperation, always anticipating. I never wanted it to be this way. How sad. Sinking into the walls, the day blurs by, but I am never moving somewhere new. I know their faces, and that's about it, but they expect me to have the judgment to make a casting call, and I know what you do is wrong. All that I'm told is to be strong. I'm at a loss for what to say. There's no one else I'd betray. I don't wanna partake. What's this feeling I'm faking? My heart yearns to remember, but all you are is enamored. You've conveyed your interest, and so have I. The moment of truth has finally arrived. Why has it come down to this? Who has caught all the fish in the sea? Now comes the process of natural selection, and it's like my rib cage.
I before we get into this pre-chorus, which I love so much, this second pre-chorus, the third pre-chorus, I go crazy every time. It warms my heart. But this second verse, the one that we are kind of like finishing up with now, listening to, so much swagger. Like when that's the one word that like to me is just embodies like this song, like the groove of this song.
Big props to my dad for that too.
Oh God, like you listen to this second verse especially, and it just sits in the pocket, dude. And
He
that's all,
changed it up just a little.
huh?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
he
I was
changed it up
listening.
just a little bit to drive it a little bit.
Yeah,
It
and
was like he
it,
just added like an extra bass drum.
yeah, it sits behind the beat a little bit. There's just so much swagger in this second verse. It just you listen to it and like you. So
Also, fun fact about that line that just finished up. It's like my rib cage is a jail cell. I actually adapted that from there's this live Grateful Dead tune that was a Brent Midland song, who was the keyboard player in the '80s, and this song was called "Blow Away," and every time Brent would do this monologue, like kind of in the middle of the song, rather than there being like a jam session or whatever, and he would kind of like give like this like take me to church, like I mean he had a stellar voice, for those of you out there who know Brent. And there's this one version of the song where he's like, do you think your rib cage is a jail cell, mama? And he's like, love to work like that, or something like that. It was just like such this cool line. I was like, oh, that kind of fits the theme of this too.
yeah. All right, we're gonna tumble into this. I think third pre-chorus, which is let's just run at it.
Is a jail cell. She's quirky in the way that I am. And what do I have to show for it? And I know what you do is wrong. All that I'm told is to be strong. I'm at a loss for what to say. There's no one else I'd betray. I don't wanna partake. What's this feeling I'm making? I'm but all you are is an ember.
I mean, come on, just before we get into the bridge here, I want to talk like that pre-chorus into that chorus. That's some of like the cleanest production work we've done, and it just sounded so like.
Also, geez, man, you just went off on that in the vocals.
Oh, dude, thank you. That's of all the stuff that we've recorded, that pre-chorus and verse is like some of like the proudest I am of like the vocal work that I've done on our stuff.
Oh yeah.
It locked in. That note I hold out on I know what you do is wrong.
Yeah, it's perfect.
It just
yeah.
it hits hard, and yeah, that section I'm so proud of every time I listen to it. Just so clean, so clean.
Yeah.
It all like all the aspects of the song are kind of coming together, and you like feel like, okay, are we getting to like the big moment now? And then we kind of mellow out and we're like, not yet, just give us a second, we got something else for you. And that now.
Is this moving too fast for you? It's moving too fast for me. You're not even half the person I thought you to be. Is this moving too fast for you? It's moving too fast for me. You're not even half the person I thought you to be. Is this moving too fast for you? It's moving too fast for me. You're not even half the person I thought you to be. Is this moving too fast for you? It's moving too fast for me. You're not even half the person I thought you to be. Is this moving too fast for you? It's moving too fast for me. You're not even half the person I thought you to be. Is this moving too fast for you? It's moving too fast for me. You're not even half the person I thought you to be.
A lot of stuff in that last section right there.
Yeah. Oh, dude.
Those-
I
that
remember. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Dan. No, you go ahead.
Oh, I remember like that. So that kind of that vocal build was not in the live take. And I remember we kept overdubbing it, and he was like, "No, no, 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 give me more, give me more." And Shane, our engineer, was like, "Oh, you know, why don't you like take a drink or something?" And you're like, "Nah, I got it." We're like at the end of the studio day, and it's like, "Nah, I'm gonna go in there." And then he just belted that, and we were like, "Yep, that's the one."
I was getting very hard headed about it. I was like, I remember I was like, come on, like I'm like listening to the instrumental side of it, and I'm like, dude, this could be just so much better. Like, I gotta put in this, like, I gotta get something just like it's gotta be perfect. Like, it's gotta be just how I want it to be in my head. And I think I got as close as I could have to that. I mean, if you listen, I don't breathe for a while there, and that was the biggest issue. Was I kept like like I kept wanting like, it can be bigger, like it can last longer. And I kept like having to stop or take a breath, and I'm like, no, I don't want it there. And then that one take, I like finally made it through from like the last phrase of the bridge and helped like carried it over into the last chorus there, which makes it just makes it for me at least. I just love that so much.
Oh yeah, I remember when he hit that in the studio. I was just like, that was awesome. That's exactly what
To
the
be
song we needed. Yeah.
that's why I said I was being super hard headed, and I knew I was like chasing after like kind of a white whale maybe, but then I finally like speared it, and I was like, yes, like this sounds so it felt amazing. And it just builds. That build is insane. Like Colin's doing a lot for it. Like he's and like Luke and Colin, like if you listen to the individual aspects of that build, nothing too crazy is happening. It's just it's very raw sounding. Like it's very like
Live sounding
it's very live sounding, and it's
as it was.
we played it so simply that like we're trying to express that very raw, like unfiltered, like emotion in the song. And God, your dad just playing like really free form type stuff. Like
Yeah.
I don't even know what to compare it to necessarily. Like it reminds me a lot of like Dave Matthews type.
I was gonna say Dave Matthews, very very reminiscent of that.
Kind of loose and
Mm-hmm.
But also tight.
but also tight.
Yeah.
Not strict time, not like traditional patterns going on, like just all over the place, but in such a way that it's so calculated and made the build so much bigger.
Speaking of overdubs, I remember in addition to the vocals, the only other thing that was overdubbed was at the very end, that last D chord. I was like, I gotta put one more chord on that, and I just tuned like my E string down to a D and just strummed an open D chord. It just gave it a little bit of like a little more of like a low end, like resounding resolution, if that makes any sense. I vividly remember doing that. I was like, let's throw another D chord on that.
I was gonna bring that up. I was like, how many guitars do we have tracked on the end? Because you have what, two normally that you're tracked or whatever, and then you threw that on the ends.
No, this one we only kept that one from the live take.
Oh, that's right.
So there was only one rhythm track on this one.
Yeah.
But actually, kind of speaking about that, that's this guitar right here. You can kind of see it. I got that guitar like 2 weeks before we recorded.
Not even. I mean, we did this on like the first day of the studio, which was like December 27th. So
was it?
after Christmas, I think. I don't, unless you got that guitar a bit before Christmas, but I thought you got it on Christmas.
Yeah, I did get it for Christmas.
So
so it was like 2 or 3 days.
We recorded this on like December 27th, or I like had it pop up in like a memories thing the other day. But yeah, it was not that long after Christmas. We got right in there after the holidays.
So I was like, man, I pulled this guitar out of the box. I was like, I got to record with this guitar.
It sounds crazy.
Yeah.
You listen to, wait till we get to the beginning of I Would Love to Be Loved, and like, clean and like smooth the guitar tone is in there. Oh my God, to die for.
Yeah, it's a great guitar.
That's Ember.
Yeah.
We are so proud of that tune. So proud of that tune. It's just, I think it speaks for itself. It's one of the highest quality songs I think we've produced to date. So well written on Dan's part lyrically. It was a lot of fun for us to record, and
Thanks.
Yeah, I think it shows our progress as songwriters and musicians for sure.
Yeah.
Right off the bat, I think a lot of people listened to this and were like, "Oh, is this the same band from the other EP?" You know, because this is the style that we kind of wanted to get into, the more like funk, jazz, rock kind of sound, and like Ember is pinnacle of that for us. Moving on.
Yeah.
Up next, we got "Don't Cross the Line."
Talk about funk.
Let's talk about funk.